Over the years, I've learned that while anime openings are usually pretty consistent in their quality, EDs are an excruciatingly mixed bag. Whether it's a forgettable song, bland visuals, or the dreaded walking, endings have long felt like an obligation to the credits more than a stylistic endeavor. It's so rare we get a complete package in an ED. One of my favorite endings ever is from Megalobox, and that doesn't even have substantial visuals. The fact that scrolling vertical credits can still be a top-tier ending says all you need to know about your usual ending. But recently there's been a bit of a paradigm shift where stunning EDs are overshadowing solid OPs. It happened with Kaguya-sama last year, ID invaded earlier this year, and now the strongest of them all, Jujutsu Kaisen this fall. I'll cut right to the chase here and say that I think Lost in Paradise is a masterpiece. Going beyond the fact that this level of animation in an ending is already exceptional, it plays 3 classic ED lines perfectly. It's fun, casual, and stylish. Part of the bonus of being an ED is you do have the ability to kind of get wacky with your stylistic choices. Naruto is great at this. They basically just throw random AUs at us every other ED. Far too often, endings are relegated to being the somber cooldown after a fast-paced episode, even if that doesn't fit the show's overall mood. Jujutsu avoids this by taking all the fun traits we love about our main cast and distilling it into mere seconds. Itadori and Kugisaki are energetic and share the same singular brain cell. Fushiguro is cool and calm, and Gojo is goofy yet smooth. The kicker is then that it doesn't just show us this with still frames like most endings would, but wonderfully animated dancing. One through line here that I didn't even realize until right now is that apparently the best way to make a great ED is to just use rotoscoped dancing. Chika Dance, Stars Align, and the GOAT Kekai Sensen all come to mind, with Jujutsu now just the latest to smash onto the scene. So the fun comes from the dances, but the casual hook comes from the designs. It is endlessly enjoyable to see anime characters dressed in casual streetwear. After spending hours watching them wear school uniforms or the same outfit over and over, a simple t-shirt and sweats can go a long way. This is not a new ending technique by any means, we've seen it time and time again, but it's a surefire way to at least get people to screenshot your ED if nothing else. For Jujutsu, it heightens the sense that what we're watching is something wholly special, that this is the characters being entirely themselves. It makes the aforementioned dances all the more believable. The final piece in this trifecta is then the unique visual style on display. Don't get me wrong, if this was all done in-engine, so to speak, with the show's normal look, it still would have been good. Stars Align is proof of that. But this coloring book paint style they used is so cool. Part of the magic of Lost in Paradise is ultimately that, similar to Kekai Sensen, it's endlessly iterative. In the couple of months since it's been out, we've already seen artists repurpose these dances for everything from JoJo's to Attack on Titan. That wouldn't be as possible without this more minimalist style. Those moments where the color bleeds outside the lines may be easy to miss, but they're some of my favorite parts of the whole thing. The way the colors seem to move almost independent of the characters is so unique and gives us the feel of looking at someone's sketchbook. And that's before we even talk about how good the actual color usage is at pairing complementary colors and making characters really pop. It's most impressive in these still shots at the end as they get even more aggressive with coloring outside the lines and make me love shots that have white backgrounds. It's sorcery that they can make me like shots that kinda look like they're someone's first draft in Photoshop this much. Still, even with all this effort, it would still fall apart without a good song to dance to. So lucky for us, we have a great song to dance to. Lost in Paradise is performed by the band Ali and features rapper Aklo on the verse. You may recognize the band name or perhaps their incredible style of funk, jazz, hip-hop, but if you do not, then perhaps this will refresh your memory. Yes, our boys from Beastar's top-tier opening are back, and their follow-up has provided us with a song that I like even more than Wildside. Having 6 whole instruments in the band really allows for the mix to feel multifaceted and gives each listen a different thing to look out for. The guitar, bass, and drums set a groove that is so delicious that I think this song would still be worth listening to even if you stripped everything else away. Also, don't sleep on Alex, their percussionist, either. Having extra percussion, mainly his bongos, only adds to how deep they're able to make these rhythms. This musical core then allows the keyboard to shine a little bit more than usual, mostly during the rap verses, while the sax is essentially this song's lead guitar, playing off and around Leo's vocals. The full version contains an absolutely godlike sax solo that's followed up by a keyboard solo as their music remains almost genre-defying. Also, a reminder that the full version is nearly 5.5 minutes long, and this ED just scratches the surface of what this song truly provides. There's honestly stuff that I'm still trying to figure out, as there are clearly strings heard in the song, which I'm guessing is from an extra synth. So that gives us 7 different musical lines before we even touch the vocal line. It's ridiculous. That vocal line isn't anything to sniff at either, as Leo's voice has been and still is very strong and distinct. Then when offset with Aklo's lower voice and somewhat harsher rapping style, it is only elevated. Not to be outdone in complexity, there are also backup vocals and vocalization during the chorus. I don't know if you've picked up on this, but I like this song, and Ollie are truly magicians. Their next slated anime appearance is for the OP of The World Ends With You adaptation in spring, so look out for that. I know I will. Now, after I've said all of this, I think it's important to still point out that the official upload of the Jujutsu opening still has 6 million more views than the ED. This ED is fantastic, but OPs still have far more cultural capital, or at least community capital, than our poor friends the endings do. And I think that's probably why people react the way they do when they see a truly standout ED like this. Still, it doesn't mean something like Lost in Paradise is any less worthy of being celebrated up there with your big boy openings. And while EDs like this are still very rare, I've been encouraged this year by the increasing quality of anime endings as a whole. But, given that openings are generally prioritized by productions, I don't predict we'll suddenly see an influx of Jujutsu level EDs. Which is why it's all the more important to celebrate the great ones like this.